butt while she would get in the like picture.
We good?
Yeah, I hear you. Oh. That was good. Yeah.
Alex?
And it's not gonna work. I'm
Sit.
gonna have to do it again.
What?
You're like, what? Okay. Alright, you good?
We're good.
Alright.
I want a good introduction.
Okay, welcome back. This is What We Talk About. Yvonne, Coda, and we got my boy, the one and only Kumbi. Today we're going to be talking about the generational gap, and we're going to go from, I'm just going to skip the baby boomers because I don't really
Don't know any of them.
I don't know any of them, don't really care. So what? We
My
got,
grandma's a baby boomer. Take it back.
alright, okay, I do care. I love my grandma. I love anyone that's in that category that I know. Love ya. Not going to talk about you though. We're going to talk about Generation X, Generation Y, that's my boy over here, and Generation Z. We happen to have one on set. So, I don't know, where do you want to start? My mom's Gen X. Like, supposedly all the baby boomers made most millennials. That's why we're like the biggest, like the biggest generation between all of them.
Generation X is biggest?
Generation Y, millennials.
Wait, I thought you just said your mom's Generation X.
Yeah, she's
So now I'm
X.
lost. Wait.
I don't know much about the baby boomers. I'm just saying, my mom's Gen X, and I'm a millennial. And supposedly, like most millennials, parents are baby boomers.
Right.
Yeah.
So Gen X, when I think about Gen X, I think about hard workers, like good work ethic. And I think I don't know, I feel like Gen X has to have like a model, does that make sense?
What kind of model?
Like they have to have like a list of A, B, C, D, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel like they can work off script.
When I think Gen X, I think crackheads. Because the 80s was full of crack, and all the people using crack in the 80s were Generation X.
Gen X isn't from the 80s. The end of
They're
79.
not, but they used crack in the 80s. So I think crackheads when I think Generation X. Yeah. You guys ever seen the movie Wall Street?
Wolf of Wall
The
Street?
Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
That's Generation X right there, dude. Yeah. I think it doesn't get more real than that.
When I think I don't know, for some reason when Gen X pops up, I think about like frickin' Jimi Hendrix and like AC/DC and like all that stuff. Like I think about the long hair, the rock and roll thing, like the whole, isn't this what they used to do?
Right. Rock on. That's the 80s right there.
That's what I think about when I think about Gen X. Or at least like when I think about my dad and my mom, I think not crack.
I think crack.
But I think like drugs for sure. Not saying my mom and dad specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did drugs. But I mean like I think about drugs, I think about rock and roll. For some reason AC/DC just pops in my head all the time.
Right.
Afros.
Oh, right. Okay, so
Afros.
Generation X is 60.
The discos.
Yeah, I think disco. I'm thinking muscle cars. That's actually the generation that one of my top, like, number one favorite cars of all time was made. 1969 Pontiac GTO, the Judge. Best car ever, dude. One of my dream cars. I'm gonna have one.
Sure.
That's Generation X right there, all over it.
Sounds gay.
That was, what? How did you say that?
No. Remember, okay, so on our last podcast we talked about Dean Winchester. When I think of his personality, that's what I think of when I think of Generation X.
Dean Winchester.
You don't know. Coda knows who he is. He was my
He
man
listens
crush.
to like AC/DC all the time.
Like AC/DC.
wears
He
a
drives a
leather jacket.
'67 Impala.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah.
That's the personality of an 80s
Like
guy.
that's
That
what I
guy-
think about when I think of Generation X.
What's his name?
Dean Winchester.
His real
His real name is Jensen
Jensen
Ackles,
Ackles.
but the character he plays is who reminds me of him, not the actor. So anybody who doesn't know what Supernatural is, you need to watch it.
Man, you're obsessed. That's what I think
It's a good show. That's off topic, but that's a great show.
Okay. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the definition of a Generation
Like,
X, dude.
just if you
Sick
see the
ass.
picture of him, did you see what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
flannel jacket, the jeans, drives a '67 Impala, listens to AC/DC in the car. That screams Generation X to me.
Yeah, he looks like a Generation X guy.
His brother Sam in the show reminds me of millennials.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say Generation X is pretty dope. I like Gen X. They primed us to be the millennials that we
For
became.
crack.
I never did crack.
So did you mean when you said you think Generation X is dope? Did you mean literally?
Literally. I guess technically I should have said cokeheads, not crackheads. Because it was in the 80s. I know Gen X isn't in the 80s, but if you were born as a Gen X baby, then you were a part of the 80s.
Alright.
You're a big part of it. You know what? Let's talk about millennials, man.
Greatest generation alive.
It really is. I think the 90s decade was the best.
No.
This last decade is close. It's pretty badass. Like, there's been some crazy shit
Wait,
that happened
like
last 10 years.
2010, 2020.
I think 90s,
No, you said this last decade was the best. You
So
said
from-
2010 through 2020 was the best.
from 10 to 20, I think that goes like head to head, neck to neck with the 90s. There was just so much shit that happened in the 90s, dude. Like, cars were changing again. They went away from all that boxy stuff that you saw in the 80s into like nice sports cars, businesses, cell phones. Music was changing. That's when like rap, the golden era of rap was. There's a lot of crazy shit that happened in the 90s. And then, what is it? The year legends were born?
94.
93.
Nah.
Yeah. Dude, what do you think, dude? What do you think about millennials?
Millennials got the biggest fucking heads I've ever heard of.
Oh, literally the biggest head.
It's the biggest
Big
head,
dick
man.
energy.
Thanks.
That's
No.
a compliment. Thank you.
I mean, like,
Big heads.
I thought you were gonna say they had the biggest balls.
That too.
That's literally what it sounded like you were gonna
from
say.
everyone I've met, I think they probably have the smallest balls, actually.
1993
Wait.
specifically.
Wait.
Especially 1993. Pussies.
So that means that everyone you've met from the year 1993, you've looked at their balls.
Yeah,
What are you doing close to their balls, man?
we're good friends.
Bird. Yeah. Well, that's good, man.
Millennials got like the biggest heads for some reason. I don't know why. And you guys are like, oh, we're the best generation ever.
I think there's truth to that, though.
I don't think there's any
I think
truth
so.
to that.
To what you just said?
Wait, what?
To what?
I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, you got the biggest heads.
Yeah.
Because everyone says that millennials are really entitled.
I
Which
wouldn't say
would
they're
mean that
entitled.
we have big heads.
They do
Both
have big ass
heads.
heads though. I wouldn't say they're
Yes,
super
they do.
entitled. Not both though. Just the head
Just
on their
this
shoulders. No, not. I don't know. I don't like a lot of millennials.
I don't like you.
Motherfucker, let's scrap right now. Forget the podcast.
Shit. Yeah, dude. No, you know what? We had cassette players in the 90s. We had Walkmans. Do you remember that shit, man?
Walkman? I don't even know what that is.
The CD player, bro. A portable CD player. Do you remember that shit?
Yeah.
Coda, did you ever have one? I'm pretty sure you probably didn't, right? Because it was in your era.
Well, I had a portable CD player, but I don't remember them being called Walkman.
The Sony had theirs was called the Walkman.
No, I know what you're
And it
talking
was like-
about.
Do you remember the logo?
I don't remember the logo, but I just know my fucking
Dude.
dad used to have one. He used to take it with him everywhere. It was like 2008, 6, and this guy was still using it.
He's still using a CD player?
I was like, what the hell?
You know what I liked, man? I was born in that decade, so it's like really euphoric for me.
You know what's crazy?
Huh.
We used to have a big screen TV. You remember Coda? In our basement.
The huge
it
ass
was
and had like the box on the back of it.
like it was like
It's probably bigger than this TV.
it was like this fat. And it was
Oh,
a
the
big-
projector style TVs? The big ass ones?
Yeah, I mean it was huge. It had wheels and you pushed it around and like.
Didn't it have like a VHS tape like built into it? Or am I
I don't
talking
remember if it did.
That's so crazy.
It, like-
VHS.
And I remember when we got it, and we thought it was the most insane thing, and then like you look at nowadays, and it's like
I know, right? This TV is probably bigger yet thinner.
weighs a million times less.
That's crazy, dude.
Like just think about TVs like from. Remember the one we used to have in our kitchen?
Which one?
It
The
was
one
like
that was
a
super
box,
tiny.
it
I
was
used
like-
to just sit in the kitchen and watch
And
basketball.
it's like
on it.
this fat.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
It was like literally the size of this, except for like
The back of it, like
yeah, the back of it was like literally as long as this table.
yeah, so
That's what
like it was
felt like.
barely gonna fall off the counter. Like a little bit room before it fell off
Yeah.
the counter.
I think that one had a built-in VHS on it.
Man, I remember if you had a built-in VHS, you were the shit. They were like, dude, your TV has a VHS in it? Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Do you remember the commercials and like when did a DVD come out? Like 2006, 2005 ish. Do you remember the commercials on some of the old movies when it's like coming soon to DVD?
Right. I
Only
remember-
on VHS.
I remember in the 90s they had that like the famous commentator guy, the narrator for movies. In a world. You guys remember that? That's fucking 90s right there, man. I don't what happened to that guy? Like they just quit.
Like,
He just got fired. Guy got fired or something, dude, because I haven't heard shit. Yeah, dude, that's his 90s all over it. Walkmans, cassette players, In a World,
Tupac, Biggie.
Tupac, Biggie.
Honestly, I wish every generation did it. But you know how Dad had that huge ass camera that he
Oh,
used to carry
yeah,
on his
the
shoulder,
shoulder
and
one.
he was able to build in the VHS tapes,
Yeah.
like family videos. Did you guys have those at
No,
all?
I always wanted one though.
I wish our generation still did that. Now it's just iPhones. But like,
Yeah.
nothing was funnier than I think you guys recorded WWE over it.
Yeah.
So you can watch it a family video out of nowhere. It's just-
It's RKO.
Dude, you want to know something weird?
What?
For some reason, like you bringing up the VHS, it reminded me of this one time. I was like 6 years old. My mom and dad had only been together like 2 years. And there was a VHS in the living room entertainment center and it had like a gold sticker on it. I'd never seen it before. I was like, what's this? So I freaking popped that shit in and it was like, I took it right out. Let's put it like that.
Was it
okay?
porn?
Was it your parents?
Yeah. I swear to God,
Was
it was
your
like,
parents?
No, it wasn't them in the video. It was their movie, like they bought or something, but it wasn't them. I put that shit in there, dude, and I was like, what the? I just like, I was a little kid, I thought it was weird. You see two people like taking their clothes off, like, and it's like 80s music. It's just like creepy, cringy. I was like, I'm gonna take this out.
You done watched it.
Oh, I took that shit out. My
Saved it
mom
for
and
me.
dad were like right there. You know what I mean? They're like right down the hall. I was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, weird shit. That's what I think of when I think VHS. That and like my science project.
I just remember how you had to rewind it, and you had to like sit there and wait for it to rewind to get back to the very
Oh.
beginning.
Yeah, dude.
We had one of
That
those ones
shit
too that
freaking
was
sucked.
like had the turn dial, so you like hold it and it rewinds and then you let it go and it plays and then you turn it the other way and it fast forwards.
Yeah, dude. That shit sucked. Technology today is much, much, much better. Alright, let's talk about your guys' generation, dude. And like the advances that you guys have been able to make.
The Tide Pod.
Yeah, half my
iPods.
generation is just full of idiots, and the
They
other
do
half are
the,
like normal people.
They do, like,
I think
the
your
lip
generation is
challenge.
tricky, man.
I think we have like the weirdest sense of humor out of any generation.
The most aggressive.
Definitely the most aggressive. too.
Definitely the most aggressive.
And the darkest humor.
Yeah, but I'm a fan of that.
Like we say some funny shit, but it's just so weird. Like the Tide Pods was a meme.
Yeah, dude, that shit. See, there's shit like that where it's like, I don't know how people got away with stuff like that because, I don't know, it's just, why the fuck would anybody eat a Tide Pod?
I don't know.
Like, what are you trying to prove?
They
Well,
do
first of all,
some
how
of
do you
the
even come up with
stupidest shit.
eating a Tide Pod?
Then you guys had
I
a
mean,
challenge
yeah,
where it's like a fucking choking challenge where you choke yourself or something
I never.
till you
That one
pass
wasn't
out or
super
turn
like
blue
popular,
or something
but
like
yeah,
that.
that was something. The cinnamon challenge.
Like
I
what
remember
the
that shit.
fuck?
I remember that.
That shit fucking hurt.
I think that was on the
cinnamon challenge.
news once about some kid who passed himself out because he was doing that choking challenge.
Wait, what,
Some kids
wasn't
like-
that our generation?
Was this recently?
It.
I think one girl died from it.
Yeah, somebody died from
She
it.
like
Yeah.
blacked out and.
They literally like choked themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like choke, like.
Yeah, like
You're
choked
kidding
themselves.
me.
And then
There was a
there's
She
challenge.
was brain dead.
What the hell?
Mhm.
then there's like the salt, and then you get ice, and you just fucking give yourself like a.
What?
Moises did
Salt
that shit
and
to me.
ice?
Yeah, so you get like salt, put it on your skin. You get ice and put it on, and like burns your skin.
Like dry ice, like that? kind
No,
of thing?
normal ice, like the salt and
I know,
ice.
but like it burns your skin like a dry
Yeah.
ice would.
Yeah, it does that.
What the fuck?
There was that. We got some weird ass.
I can't even
challenges.
comprehend some of the stupid shit. that
Air
goes on.
dusters, cup and air
What
dusters.
about, you know how you would play like Knuckles or something like that?
Oh, Bloody Knuckles?
Yeah, Bloody Knuckles.
Oh, okay. I
Dude.
like that one. That was fun. I usually put bets on that.
Isn't it? Is that the, is that the
I
coin
usually
game?
put money on that.
Yeah.
That's
Dude.
that's the coin game, right? Where you, like,
That's
put
where you, like-
money in
Yeah.
in
And you gotta
thumbs
put your
and-
hand down like that,
Mhm.
and your hands are all bloody when it's over.
No, that's quarters.
Oh, bloody what's
Bloody Knuckles is where like I
Oh,
stick with
it's
this
the
that
one
you
you
stick
go
your
like
fish
this.
out,
Oh,
and
and
then
you
I
hit it?
try to hit yours if I miss. It's
Okay,
your turn.
Oh, okay. I don't like that one. That was kind of boring.
You believe
It's the
that?
same thing as like when I was a kid, my dad used to play slappies where you put your hands here and he'd have his hands on you, try to pull up and smack their hand.
Right. See, I don't think Generation Alpha and maybe like half of Generation Z even know about that stuff. Like, who does that anymore? Kids don't play outside.
Or like, you remember in high school, you build a little football and flip it through each other's field goal.
I think the best time was like maybe 2000. Let's see, 12ish. You know what was
The
popular around
best
there?
time for what?
Like in general, ever. Cause that's when like they had those animal bracelets.
Animal bracelets? What is
I
that?
guess okay. I guess I was in
I
elementary.
remember.
Yeah,
I
they
was
had
in
like
middle school. and
animal
they had
bracelets.
those. They were like colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you
And
were
then
in
the boobies.
middle school?
Yeah. when those came
2012?
out. I think so.
How old are you?
All right.
Babe.
No. No, I was already in high
You
school.
graduated in 2011, didn't you?
Yeah, dude.
Holy
I was-
She's
shit.
tripping.
I was in high school.
Okay, alright. Just want to make sure that was clear.
What about the I Love Movies bracelet?
Those.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
I
when we
was
were
the
in high
first
school.
person to ever have one of
No,
those
you
around here, bro.
weren't.
That
Yes,
is
I
so
was.
cool.
I started that trend. I'm telling you, bro.
Okay, no, he didn't.
Bro, I got that bracelet before people even knew those bracelets existed. I'm telling you, I had the first one here, bro.
That is
People
false.
always ask me, "Oh my God, where'd you get that bracelet? That's so freaking cool." I'm like, "Go to Zoomies, dude."
Were they messing with you?
And then
Yes,
everyone
they
had
were.
bracelets, bro. That was a trend for like 3 years, 4 years.
Nah, he wasn't the first. I swear to God, I saw like 20 other people before he showed up.
Bro, what are you talking about? You know what I do remember though from middle school, Alex? I don't know if you ever did this. You remember that kids would, like, someone would stand in the middle, right, of two people with your chest like this, and you breathe in, and then like one kid's behind you, one kid's in front of you, and they both push on you like really, really hard to get you to pass out.
The hell were you doing in
Yeah.
middle school?
So kids
Never
used to
did
do
that.
shit like that.
The
Did you guys
weirdest,
ever-
thing, the weirdest thing we did like that was squirrel tag, when you'd run around and try to hit each other in the nuts.
Oh yeah, I hated that shit.
Did you guys ever have someone like run through, like create a little like a hallway kind of with like a wall of people? And if you run through, you grab your backpack, no matter what's in it, you throw it as hard as you can at them.
No, but I saw that trend like on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah, we did that shit. Shit's actually fun.
When was that?
That was, I think, it was popular when I was maybe
It was
like,
like
a
2000.
sophomore.
14, 2013ish, somewhere out there.
That must be irrelevant then.
Cause I did it as a sophomore and got in trouble.
I would have written your freaking principal up.
I should have.
Okay, you know what? How about you come to my office?
Sounds like you're gonna seduce him.
Oh, that's crazy shit, dude.
What about the hacky sack?
Hacky sack.
Oh, hacky sack. That's 90s.
Oh, okay.
That's 90s for
That's
sure.
like late 90s.
late '90s into like early 2000s, and I think
Yeah.
it's still a thing, right? It's not as big.
It's
as
still a
before.
thing, but it's almost like
But-
it's very uncommon to see.
Yeah. It's,
What about pogo sticks? You remember pogo sticks?
Yep, I do. I actually never got one though. Unfortunately, I always wanted one.
Bit.
There's a lot of shit I didn't get, dude. And I'm not saying it's like I didn't get it because like I was a bad kid.
You just
But-
weren't very much like.
My parents were very let's put it like this, like they were very humble.
They're very humble.
This is a very humbling experience for me. I got to borrow a pogo stick. I borrowed my friends. That was fun.
I don't remember pogo sticks. I remember scooters. Those were really popular when they first came out.
Even that.
The
so,
motor scooters when those first came out.
Not motor ones, just like literally the.
I hated
motor
those
scooters
ones.
that you push yourself on.
Yeah.
You ever been hitting the ankle with them?
Oh, they
Yeah,
fucking
they
hurt,
were.
dude.
You guys have the stacking cups?
Oh yeah, in PE we used to do the stacking cups.
Did you guys ever have like those scooters you'd sit on in PE?
Yeah, they're like little flat.
You'd run
things
over
you
your
s-
hands
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
I'd say the beginning of like the 2000s was like the best time period.
The only thing I remember about that time was I just remember the Twin Tower situation, 9/11.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
all I can remember from that.
Didn't have to
period.
deal with that. I mean, later on, like 2005-ish
I
to
don't remember
2000.
much back from
12.
2000s.
When I think early 2000s, I think about a lot of music. I feel like music was like at this high.
All-time high.
All-time
It's
high.
Probably like the best
It's just-
music.
Early 2000s. Yeah.
Except for like the worst music videos.
Yeah, those changed a lot too. But it brings back like this sense of like, what is it? Euphoric?
Nostalgia?
Nostalgia. That's what it is. Yeah.
Euphoric.
I get high when I think about the 2000s.
So what now? Generation Alpha? Is that an actual thing then? Or
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
2011 through 2025.
So your kids are Generation Alpha.
My kids are Generation Alpha.
That's cool.
TBD to see what they end up doing, and hopefully it's not Tide Pods and frickin' Downy Unstoppables.
it might be worse.
Crushing Downy Unstoppables and snorting it or something.
Is that a thing? Oh, nah.
I hope that's not a thing, but
Yeah, it's kind of scary because, like, all the depression numbers are going up too. You know, for both male and female, especially for women, the depression rate and suicide rates and stuff like. Just,
The Gen Z?
yeah, Gen Z. So it starts spiking at 2010, which would be about the time Generation Z is in what, middle school?
2010?
yeah,
Most of
That's
them would be middle school, high schoolish kind of thing.
yeah, because I graduated 2011.
So,
So yeah,
that's maybe when they're in elementary. About to go into
2010?
middle school. Yeah, unless you're like the early Gen Z.
so yeah,
most
it'd be
of us
early
were
Gen Z because
heading in.
when Gen Z starts going to middle school and high school is when the
Okay.
the depression and suicide rates start going.
What do you think
up.
that is? Do you think it's because of social media?
100%.
In 2010, social media wasn't like big. It was MySpace and Facebook.
Facebook was invented in 2009,
Yeah,
and it got really popular in 2010. That's when it started spiking.
but like MySpace wasn't.
MySpace
MySpace was
MySpace
fun.
died off when Facebook started spiking.
Yeah.
They went like opposite directions.
So there's no way it could just be like social media.
I think it is. What else would it be?
In 2010, like I don't know. There.
But that's just when it starts. It's getting worse and worse and worse every
Well,
year.
yeah,
that
that's
goes
because
by.
social media is getting bigger and bigger. But I don't think 2010 was just.
I think it was. That's the start of the rise of social media. It's not a coincidence that the start of the rise of social media is the start of the rise
I think
of
it's just so
suicide
much
and
more stuff.
depression rates.
Like what they're advertising and like what they're showing. That
I
makes
think
sense.
that's true because they were advertising sex in the 80s. They were advertising sex in the 90s. I don't think that's changed.
And like the music too.
The way they advertise it has changed.
Because drugs was getting bigger as time goes on now too.
I don't know. Back in the 80s, drugs was a pretty big problem.
Yeah, but then like kind of I guess slowed down a little bit. But like now you got little kids out here using drugs. And there's no way that doesn't have like an impact on mental health.
I don't think I've ever
growing
seen
up.
a little kid use drugs.
I'm not gonna say like little kid, but I'm saying like
Middle schoolers?
9-year-olds. I've seen like 10-year-olds. drink, smoke.
But middle schoolers right now is,
Middle school right now is 13.
which is still Generation Z.
Oh, 13. Yeah. And most middle schoolers smoke and do drugs.
So it sounds like your generation's.
Yeah, we're full of potheads.
Yeah, that sounds like trouble, man.
So I think it's just a combination of drugs and
'Cause I think
social
it's insane. Because when I was in high school, middle school, not once did we ever hear about suicide or anything like that. Like, I mean, when I was in high school and stuff, the worst you'd hear about is people would say they cut themselves. Like they'd freaking put cuts on their legs or something like that, or their wrists and stuff like that. But that still wasn't very popular. Like, it wasn't like everybody was doing it. Nowadays, I could probably think in the last 5 years of like 5 or 6 people that you've heard of on the news just here locally, like in the area, that have committed suicide from high school and middle
I
schoolers.
think I know like 5 off the top of my head.
So from like literally the time we were in high school, which is what, 2007 through 2012-ish, it's like there's like 0 that I had heard of. To fast forward to now, in the last
One.
5 years, which is,
I remember like
There
one
was
or two.
someone in high school that I even heard about when you guys were in high school.
who was it?
I don't know what
Well,
high school.
not the, I mean, you don't have to say the name, but like, was it local?
He was someone that you knew.
Yeah. I think it was.
And it happened
because even
while
I
I
heard
was in
about
high
it
school.
when I was in elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, I could tell you about it later. I'm pretty sure you remember. He wasn't like an immediate friend, but we just knew him.
But still, so you go from 1 to right now, and you're saying that's 5 that you know of, like you
Off
knew
the
the
top of my
person, or that you just
Yeah,
knew of
New
them.
in
or-
person.
And
Yeah.
that's just 5 people that you knew, not
Yeah.
actually not even counting just people you
That
don't
I've
even
even
know.
heard of. Yeah. But it's a small town, so I know like a lot of people from multiple high schools.
I feel like it's been 5 just in the last year. Compared
There's
to.
been a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gotten bad. I think social media has a role in it, a big role, because people compare themselves a lot,
Yeah.
and then you get like like cyberbullying and whatnot. Like people just feel like they're invincible on the internet, so they can comment and be opinionated about everything, and then you know what I mean. And then
Yeah.
there's that like feature.
And then people just spend too much time on their phones too. Like they don't go out and have fun.
Yeah.
Right, that can cause like depression because they're no longer communicating with people like face to face. They're just staring into their phone all day,
Getting other human interaction.
fascinating or thinking about like comparing
And you can
themselves.
tell, like, have you guys ever had that, like, the day that we were playing video games with DJ, and you literally sit in the house like all day long and you do nothing but like stay in your house, and then you compare that to a day where you go out and you do something outside, you can tell like your happiness factor is like boosted.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it's called,
Mood.
your mood or whatever. What is that? Whatever that is called.
Yeah.
If you feel better.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just something to do with moving. You know what I mean?
Moving.
Well,
Being
exercise.
active, like physically moving your body, like being alive.
I don't think
You
that's.
know?
I don't think that. Really
Exercise helps with.
I think it helps, but
It's not like.
moving.
Not necessarily moving. I guess if you move, I guess it could be exercise. But I mean like actual exercise. Like 60 minutes
Or
a
just
day.
any
Go out
kind
and
of
play.
physical activity, you know?
Yeah, okay, that's a better way to describe it. Because you said moving, and I'm just like.
Because you're moving inside.
Just so getting up and grabbing my game fuel out of the fridge and sitting back down.
Feels
Supposed
pretty
to-
good for a moment.
Because actually, I think when I'm playing video games, I have to get up to get a drink. I'm more frustrated because I had to get up and get a drink. So. But like, when you say physical activity, then I see what you're saying. Because like, I feel better if I get up and work out, or if I get up and like run, or if I get up and like do stuff. So
Oh, definitely, me too. Even if I have to drag myself through it, just like I drag myself through every day, I'll drag myself through that workout.
that's
And then drink chocolate milk.
Very
And then drink some chocolate milk. Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna keep dragging myself through my day because social media's got me comparing myself to everybody and I feel like I look like an Oompa Loompa. But other than that, That's what I think is probably going to be the biggest thing to happen in the next generation, in a negative way. There's going to be a lot more depression, unfortunately. But in a positive light, I think Generation Alpha is going to be a lot more successful than any generation before us. There's going to be more entrepreneurs, self-made millionaires, you know, business owners, all types of stuff like that. And probably more eco-friendly things happening. Flying cars, automatic.
Reminds me, what's the cartoon, this Jet Smiths or something like that?
Oh yeah, the Jetsons.
The Jetsons.
The Jetsmith.
Yeah.
The Jetsons. The flying cars and stuff.
Yeah, it'll happen. Who knows?
Isn't in Back to the Future, doesn't it happen in like 2020 or something like that? Like they go to 2020 or something.
Oh, in
like
the
that?
movie?
Yeah, or 2000 something.
That's nutty to think about because the movie's more futuristic than reality is.
Yeah.
But we also have a lot of things that they couldn't even think about
Yeah.
faking
Like this.
because, yeah, look at this. They couldn't have even made a fake in that time because they didn't have the imagination yet.
Crazy.
Yep, crazy stuff. But one more thing I kind of wanted to touch on is like what we think we could do to help the current generation in the future.
Inspire.
Did I cut you off?
No.
I'm like, what's going on here? Why are you laughing, bro?
There's something popped in my head not even related to the podcast. It's just the fucking,
Okay.
it's just the fucking funniest thing to me.
Well, yeah, so I was thinking, okay, because I don't have kids yet, but I do plan on having them
Are you
in the
scared?
next couple years. Honestly, bro, I'm ready for it, man. I'm
are you
27 now.
Not scared to have a kid, but scared for your kids.
No, dude, they
in
got
the
me.
future.
I'd be scared.
I'm scared for
They
them.
got me and my girl.
I'm scared.
No, I ain't scared. No, what do you mean though, scared?
Like scared for their future. Because of like the way things are going, depression rates are continuing to rise, suicide's continuing to rise, technology's only getting better. So it's like you almost have to be like, and then like I don't know, the way that you parent
Yeah.
is under like a microscope. Like you can't hit your kids, like all that stuff.
Oh, I hate my kid.
What? I'm not saying it's wrong. Like I'm 100%
Just
for
kidding.
it, but I'm saying like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff is going against people. So like nowadays, I would say it's harder to parent now than it ever has been.
I feel like I agree, but I disagree at the same time. It's harder
Can't
in
do
that
both.
aspect that,
Can't
like
do
you said,
both.
you're under a microscope. It's almost like being micromanaged, right? Like everyone has an opinion, or they want to tell you how to do something that you don't really need them to tell you. But I think it's easier in the fact that there's just so much education out there. It's easier to learn, like how to work with your kids. Maybe they have habits that you need to help them like develop into a better habit, you know, or something like that.
Think not.
No, I don't have kids, so maybe I'm just thinking with my ass.
That's a strange way to say it, but no,
I just think that like there's a lot of help out there, you know.
I
for
think
people
there
to
is a
be
lot.
great
I think there
parents.
is a lot more help out there now than there was, but there's also I think that the amount of like negative influences and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
There's more of that than there is help. And like
that's probably what would scare me.
when I was in high school, so like we were talking about one of you guys said something about like beauty shaming or something like that, or body shaming or something like
Body
that.
shaming?
Yeah, one
Oh
of you
yeah,
guys
that's
had
a
said
big
something
thing
about that, right?
now.
But think about it, because when we were in high school, or when we were in elementary and middle school, you could go home, right? You get made fun of at school because you're fat. You could go home.
When you said you mean me?
I don't want to point fingers. I won't do that. But
Okay.
I'm saying that when you go home from elementary school or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You go home and in your house, your home felt like protection, because you
Yeah.
could go home and at that point there wasn't Facebook, MySpace,
Yeah.
like, cause when we were in elementary, like, we didn't have access to that kind of stuff. We didn't have smartphones.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't get my first phone until I was like 16,
Yeah, I didn't
and
get
I had
mine
to
until high
steal my
school.
dad's.
Mhm.
So it's like, because we didn't have those kinds of things, you could go home and you could escape it. Like, it was an escape. Home was a safe place.
Right.
Nowadays, home is more dangerous than being outside of it. Because you go home and now you have this at your disposal as a kid, so you can't escape that harassment or being called fat at school. Because you go here, log on to Facebook, and now people are posting on your wall that you're fat. Now it's getting spread around to more people because more people have access to social media, so now everybody knows you're fat. So it's like, it's more.
you can't hide from it. There's no shadows
Yeah.
anymore.
But you get what I'm saying, like, not that there's something wrong with being fat, but like the fact that you're being made fun of for that reason, you can't escape it no matter where you go at this point.
Yeah.
And
You know
that's-
what? That I've never heard anyone say it like you did, but that makes a lot of sense to me. Cause I do remember having days where I'm like I couldn't wait to go home, cause nobody knows where I live.
Mhm.
It's not. They don't have me on Facebook. They don't have me on Instagram. It's nobody knew where I lived. They can't hurt me at home. No one's gonna come over to my house, unless there's a few people I do know that came over and egged my car a couple times. But that's different.
That's TBD. We're still looking for the culprits.
Yeah. Still under investigation. Anyways, though, I've never heard anyone put it like that, but I think that's so true, man, because that's almost like a luxury that we had, if you think about it, because kids can't do that now.
Yeah, that's why I asked you if you're scared, because like, those are things you have to think about, especially like if you have a daughter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like girls are just naturally more emotional, so it's like they're gonna take that way more to heart than a guy is. You know what I'm saying? Because like for someone like you can laugh that off. If I were to be like, Yvonne, you're fat, you're just gonna laugh it off, and you're like, I am shit. But if you go to a girl and say you're fat, you know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
gonna hit them. It's gonna hit them hard, and
Yeah.
that's where the whole body shaming thing comes in. So that's what I'm saying is like all that kind of stuff, and it can affect guys too. But I think that's why suicide rates are kind of going up, because you literally feel like there's no escape. Like there's no escaping the prison you're trapped in.
Yeah, well, looking at this new generation, I don't think that they're so bold and so strong-minded. I'm not really afraid.
What new generation are you talking about?
Our kids.
My son is 4, so I don't think he's old enough to have a mind of his own and just say that. And
but
my
he
daughter's
does.
too, so.
She definitely does. She don't give a shit about nothing.
I think that's just hopeful outlook is what I think that is.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
I
I
think
think
they're too young to just say, oh, I know he's got a strong mind and he's gonna.
I mean, they're kids
So-
right now, but just wait, you know.
Because at this point, they're so young that temptation can sway them either way quickly and fast, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta do your job as a parent and hope for the best.
Yeah, it's a scary thing, man. We don't know which way it's gonna go, but obviously, like from our experience in the last 20 years, it's only getting worse. So either like something's gonna happen that's gonna level it out. There's gonna be some kind of a silver lining somewhere, and it's gonna like create a path that people can follow that will help them resist all that crap. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's gonna be some new kind of technology, but hopefully something like that happens, and then it kind of evens out a little bit. Maybe people will just go outside a little bit more. You know what I mean? Get some fresh air. Maybe try to live off the grid. I don't know if that's becoming a thing, but I've seen a lot of posts about it. You know, people show off their houses that they have, or like a cabin or whatever, and it's off the grid. Just to
I have a
get away.
question for you. How's it off the grid if they're posting it on social media?
That's the weird part. I'm like, okay, what? Like that kind of
Must not be
beats
off the
the
grid.
point. But I mean, it could just be a way to like open a door, right, for people to be like, oh hey, you know what? That'd be cool. Just get away for a little bit. But I don't know, man. Kids are smart these days. They're smarter than we were when we were their age, and they're only gonna get smarter. So I'm sure they'll figure something out.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. With
So
that
we
being
can-
said,
we can end it then just real quick. We can go through all 3 of us and just like ways that we could try to help make it better.
Alright, I'm gonna think for a second.
Motivate me.
Motivate?
Motivate me to feel better about the future. I feel worse. Thank you.
The only thing I can think of that would motivate somebody to feel better about the future is to just like inspire them to go for their own dreams. You know what I mean? And if you don't have one yet, develop one. It could be anything. It could be something completely stupid, like a dumb idea. I'm actually like, I'm for that. Sometimes I think dumb ideas or the ideas that people call crazy or they don't make any sense are the best ones. Because if it was a good idea, someone already thought of it. You see what I'm saying? Like, what's that quote that Einstein has a quote?
Well, you look that up, Coda.
As time goes on, we have information at disposal, so we can look up anything. We have the potential to become the smartest people, smarter than any other generation. And we're creating new things as every day goes on, which means we're creating new opportunities. So if I'm pretty sure mostly everyone's gonna have a phone. So if you use the phone to not necessarily use social media, but to better yourself, look up information, study with the stuff you're interested, experiment, look into other things, then, I mean, college isn't even necessarily the thing anymore. Growing up, it was always in high school they said, oh, go to college, you'll get a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm hearing like, okay, well, you can go to college and that's not going to guarantee you a good job. Because everyone went to college and now everyone has that degree. It's almost like inflation, basically. It's no longer valuable. So what they are going to look for is the information and the knowledge that you have and the skill set that you have. And like I said, we have the disposal of having the greatest information and just working on that. Working on your craft, knowing, hey, this is what the professionals are doing. I can look this up anytime, day or night. And then, I mean, you can literally do whatever. It's literally like chase your dreams and you can get there. You just gotta like, it's not even, you can't have social media. It's you gotta be able to block out. Like, don't get your, don't base your self-image off the number of likes, comments, shit like that. Like,
100%.
I think that's something I notice a lot. Where we have the potential to be the smartest generation, but because we have cell phones, it also leads to identity crises. A lot of kids don't know what they are, who they are, because they're told so many different things. So you just gotta keep your head like on one topic that interests you, and you could literally like change the world.
I agree with that. 100%. 100%.
I love it. I'm gonna cry.
Now it's your
I
turn.
found a quote. It's not the exact quote I was looking for, but it says the same thing. And this is quoted by Einstein. If at first the idea is not absurd, then there's no hope for it. So that's why I say, like, just think of something. Even if it sounds ridiculous, like, just go for it. Figure it out. If there's a way, if there's a will, there's a way. And if there isn't, then think of another crazy idea. Yeah?
I like it.
No, you.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of forgot the question.
You said, how could you
It was your
motivate
question.
people to feel better about the future?
I would kind of agree with Coda. I think we have so much power at our fingertips right now that you could easily influence so many people. Because, like, think about, like, YouTubers, big YouTubers. I mean, you have millions of people watching you all at one time. Imagine the power would be if everybody tried to push in a positive direction. So I think that using that power for good, what is it Spider-Man says? With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge, is like, especially for the generations coming up, take the responsibility and know that you have that power and the ability to change the future, because the future is not set. So right now our projections are not looking great as far as suicide and depression and all that kind of stuff. So you can change the future literally at your fingertips. So that's what I would say is utilize the power you have and be the change that you want to see in the world. Be a positive change. It's like what anybody who's seen Notorious B.I.G., one of my all-time favorite movies.
Who shot you? It's my favorite line.
Well, my favorite line is towards the end when he's in the club right before he actually goes to California and ends up getting shot. Was he tells what's the guy's name?
Tupac.
P Diddy. Is that his name?
Puff Daddy.
Puff Daddy, whatever his name is. So he tells that guy, and he says, "We can't change the world unless we change ourselves."
Now a message from our sponsors.
No, man, she comes in. Alright, so we got 4 minutes. Alright, so
Alright.
you just start at that,
We'll
can't change
cut,
the world.
cut right at that part, and we'll go back. So anyways, like Notorious B.I.G. says, you can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So that's why I say be the change you want to see in the world. So if we want to see positive change, that's all it takes is you becoming the change and you making the change and pushing that stuff. Celebrate the victories and then find beauty in the failures. So.
I'm with it. Alright. Well, I think the discussion went well. If you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and let us know below. Please like and share this on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week. This was what we talk about.
Love you.